have developed to support the process of voluntary local review. This is part of the 2030 Agenda Fund sub-fund project in the region of Asia Pacific. Here in the room, we will just give a few minutes for a quick round of introductions, but we have the teams of UN Habitat working in headquarters, the colleagues from the regional office for Asia Pacific, as well as representatives from the country offices in Thailand, Philippines, and Nepal. Also, I believe that we have some representatives from the pilot city of Chandragiri in Nepal, and some of the recently hired consultants, national consultants, that will be supporting the implementation of this project in the pilot country. First of all, I wanted to share some housekeeping remarks. You can feel free to turn on or off your cameras. Also, this is a training, but I hope that it will also be an opportunity to solve questions, share comments, and really to have, let's say, a more fun, informal and discussion among colleagues on this process. So please feel free to share all your comments, questions, and feedback on the chat. Also to raise your hands or unmute yourselves if you want to share them verbally. And the session is being recorded because some of the people that will be working in the project were not able to join this time, and also for reporting purposes. That being said, my name is Claudia Garcia. I am the focal point for Asia Pacific in the SDG localization and local government team of UN Habitat. I am sitting in Nairobi, where the headquarters of the agency are. Together with me and from the HQ team, we have also Hannah, Gaia, Marta, Lucia, John, that will be supporting this work from Nairobi. And maybe now I will pass the floor to the different colleagues from the country offices, regional and country offices, so they can introduce themselves and then also introduce the teams in each of the countries. So maybe Ricardo, over to you.
Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone. I think, I know most of you. I'm Ricardo from the Bangkok office, working for the regional office as well, and supporting a little bit the program regionally. So following mainly Thailand now, but supporting also the others. And maybe we can, I can pass it to the team here in Bangkok. So maybe we'll pass it to Afif first. Afif, if you want, to quickly introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Afif. I'm working in the UN Habitat Bangkok office. I'm a new intern under the supervision of Ricardo.
Okay, thanks, Afif. Stella?
Hello. Hello, I'm Stella. I'm a new intern in the Bangkok office of UN Habitat. Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, thanks, Stella. Judamas, I just saw that you joined, so maybe we are just introducing ourselves, so maybe over to you.
Okay, so can you hear me? Yes? Okay, so I'm Judamas, so I'm just joining the team SDG localization in Udon Thani.
Thanks. Maybe over to the Philippines. Nepal will be a long list, so maybe better to start with the Philippines. You're muted, Chris.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see familiar faces and new faces. I'm Chris Rolly. I'm the Country Program Manager of the Philippines. And with me are three colleagues. I request them to open their videos. Yeah, so you see Lara, Erica, and Roanne, please introduce yourself quickly also.
Thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'm Lara Togonon de Castro, Urban Planner and Technical Officer of UN Habitat Philippines.
Erica?
I'm not sure if Erica's in already. Maybe Roan
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, Roanne.
Yes. Hi, good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Roan Duran. I'm the Knowledge Management and Communications Officer for the UN Habitat Philippines country office.
Yeah, so Erica is not yet here, so she's also part of the Philippine team in this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now passing the floor to Nepal.
Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Pragya Pradhan and I work as Habitat Program Manager for UN Habitat Nepal. And today we have our team from UN Habitat, the consultants onboarded, and especially our stakeholders from municipality, Chandragiri municipality with us. So I pass it on to Milan G for facilitation. As Ricardo has said, we do have a long list of participants. Milanji, you are muted.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Milan from UN Habitat Nepal. I'm working as a project coordinator, and I have a team from the consultant and Chandragiri municipality. I would like to introduce by themselves Pratap sir, Sirjana ji, Atul ji, and the team of Chandragiri municipality.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I am Pratap Satkuli. I am recently joined for the BLR team here. Thank you for today. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sirjana ji.
Hello and namaste. I'm Srijana Koirala. I'm working as an urban planner for this project and looking forward to this meeting.
Thank you. Atul ji.
Hello, I'm Atul. Can you listen to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Atul. I'm working as a GIS expert for this project.
Damodar Rizal sir.
नमस्ते म दामोदर रिजाल चन्द्रगिरी नगरपालिकाको सेक्सन अफिसर
Thank you Damodar sir. Karna sir.
नमस्कार म कर्णबहादुर भुवाजी चन्द्रगिरी नगरपालिका शिक्षा शाखा प्रमुख हजुर
Thank you sir. And anyone remaining from Chandragiri municipality? Please introduce Bhadra ma'am. Rambadi sir. Rambadi Gibri sir.
Hello, I'm Ramani Gimire from Chandragiri Municipality Health Section.
Thank you sir. Bhadra ma'am.
Hello everyone, Namaskar. I am Bhadra Aryal. I'm from Chandragiri, Nepal, Environment Department.
Thank you for the team Chandragiri and consultant. So over to you, Claudia.
Thank you very much for this round of introduction. It is a truly pleasure to meet you all. Some familiar faces, but many new ones. We really look forward to working with it and all of you for this project, and hopefully also in future and upcoming opportunities related to SDG localization. We are going to start now with the presentation. The overview, I will ask my colleague Hannah to share the screen. And basically the agenda or the overview of this training. Next slide, Hannah. We'll be starting from an overview of the project. I'm sure that most of you are familiarized with it, but just in a quick glimpse, seeing what are the components and what are the objectives that we are trying to pursue. Then we will get into the more technical part of the training, which is a presentation of what is the voluntary local review process, how we're going to conduct it, and we will then deep dive into the data component of the VLR, including a presentation of the application of the Global Urban Monitoring Framework and a demo or the presentation of the tool to assist you with the selection of indicators and the data collection process. And we will finalize with an overview with an operational overview, with really like the steps and implementation that you will follow at the country level. We hope that this will be a fruitful exchange, that you solve your questions, and that you get at least the key and essential steps to implement this project and to localize the sustainable development goals in your cities and territories. So starting with the overview of the project, next slide, Hannah, please. Hannah. Thank you. This project is called Fostering COVID-19 Recovery and Energy Implementation through Local Action in Asia Pacific, Arab, and African countries. This project was submitted in 2021 when COVID-19 was really hitting our societies and economies. At the same time, COVID-19 showed us taught us many lessons. One of them was that when complex crises and complex emergencies hit, local action and the engagement of local governments, local communities, and stakeholders is crucial. And it's also crucial for the recovery process. So both it's crucial for the emergency moment and also for the recovery. So if we are to achieve sustainable, inclusive, and resilient recoveries from any type of emergency that might be happening at present moment, but also might happen at the future, we need to include local action. We really need to place local authorities and local stakeholders at the center of this recovery in the planification and in the implementation of recovery strategies. This is also linked to the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and the sustainable development goals, because as the UN, but also member states are realizing, we cannot fulfill the commitments of the agenda if we do not include or if we don't mandate our local governments to work on it and to support their implementation. So that's why we are focusing on local action, and that's why in UN Habitat we are focusing a lot on SDG localization. However, we know that most of the time, regardless of the relevance, local and regional governments are not equipped with the competencies, with the financial situation, and with the expertise that they need to overcome this crisis and to work towards a sustainable recovery. And this is the main point that this project tries to tackle and aims to improve, which is the reinforcement of local and regional governments in the pilot cities and the multi-level governance system, so the collaboration from the local to the national level to advance the localization of the SDGs. Today in this training, we are working on the region of Asia Pacific with the countries of Nepal, Philippines, and Thailand. But this project is also being implemented in African countries, Kenya, Ghana, and the Gambia, as well as Arab countries, Tunisia, Jordan, and Palestine. Next slide, please, Hannah. This is just a quick overview of what is the project more in technical terms. It is funded by the UN Peace Development Fund of the 2038 Agenda Sub-Fund. The implementation period is from 2022 to 2025, so we are halfway in implementation of the project. The partners involved is UN Habitat leading the implementation, but also in collaboration with the different UN Social and Economic Commissions, UNDESA, and United Cities and Local Governments, UCLD. Next slide, please. Thank you, Hannah. So how are we going to do this? How are we going to support and strengthen the capacities of the local governments in Nepal, the Philippines, and Thailand? We present a holistic and complete approach towards SDG localization that is divided in 5 components or 5 pillars. The first one is the technical cooperation piece, which is the one that we will regard today. In this technical cooperation, we are going to work mainly on the development of a voluntary local review. We will get into the details of what this is, but essentially we hope that with this review, we will understand how each of your territories stands with regards to the implementation of the SDGs, and we also hope to understand which are the gaps that need to be addressed to advance on the implementation of the SDGs. For our voluntary local reviews, we're going to work with, let's say, 3 approaches. One is the data one through the Global Urban Monitoring Framework, then the assessment with the voluntary local review, and then the action through the SDG cities cycle. The second component of the project is the regional activities. There is a lot going on in terms of SDG localization in the Asia-Pacific region. There are many partners working on it. UN Habitat is one of them, but it's not the only one. So what we are trying to do with the project is also strengthening the regional activities, the regional cohesion towards localization. For that, we will help in strengthening the already existing Mayors Academy. That is an initiative led by UNESCO, UN Habitat, and UCLG ASPAC, as well as other partners. And on the other hand, we will also support the creation of a regional platform on SDG localization, where we can store different experiences, stories, promote events, and so on. This regional platform will be linked to already existing global platforms. So it won't be something new, but more like strengthening what already exists at the regional level. Sorry. The third pillar is the learning and capacity building. While doing this process, we want to make sure that the local governments from the pilot really understand the process and really connect and take it for future actions to ensure also the sustainability of the process. This learning and capacity building will have different or can take different themes. One of them would be the linkage between the SDGs and local planning. Another could be the linkage of the VLRs with recovery strategies. And also the third one will be more the capacity building on the implementation of the urban agenda. This component will be done in different modalities through online courses or through in-person training. The first component is a multi-level governance one. This is a key concept that we are advocating to and that we will reinforce in the project is truly the connection between what is happening at the local level with the national level. We are starting with 3 pilot countries, with 3 pilot cities in each country, no, 1 per country, but the intention is really to scale up with time to other cities in each of the countries. On this point of multi-level governance, I wanted to stress the connection in between the voluntary local reviews and the voluntary national reviews. This is something that is widely welcomed in the region, but also internationally, and we hope that in these 3 countries will also happen. And the 5th component will be the regional and global advocacy. It's really giving visibility to the efforts that the pilot cities are undertaking and will undertake with regards to localization. We will support the mobilization as much as possible in global events, as well as the exchange of knowledge in between cities beyond the pilot cities of the region. So if we go to the next slide, please, we will see the regional and global advocacy roadmap for 2023 and 2024. We are coming from, in 2020, this year, we've had some moments with regards to localization, to the Sustainable Development Goals, and to urbanization. Some of these were in June, the UN Habitat Assembly that took place in Nairobi, the mayor of Chandragiri participated. Then also in June, there was the kickoff meeting in Thailand. Now in September, recently it happened, the kickoff meeting, the inception meeting in Nepal as well. And more globally, the high-level political forum took place in July, and the SDG summit also took place in September, where the implementation of the SDGs and the role of local governments in implementing the SDGs were highlighted. Ahead of us, we still have many opportunities and milestones to build upon, such as the Asia Pacific Urban Forum that will take place in South Korea in October, Urban October in general, and then in 2024 we will have the Asia Pacific Regional Forum on Sustainable Development. In February, the High-Level Political Forum again, the Summit of the Future in September, and finally the World Urban Forum that will take place at the end of 2024 in Egypt. Out of these moments, I just want to highlight that first, you should mark them in your calendars, because these are very important dates, and that we are building on these processes to present and to deliver on the commitments that we will work throughout the project. And of course, once again, if we are missing any important moment, please let us know, and we will include it on our roadmap. Next slide, please. Perfect. So until here, it was the presentation of the overview of the project. Now we are going to get more into the description, into the presentation of what is the voluntary local review. Before that, just checking if anyone has any question so far, any comment. Okay, I don't see any hand raised. So if you have any, please put it on the chat. I will go ahead. Voluntary local reviews, also known as VLR. Let's start with the numbers. Let's start with the numbers to understand the engagement and the global scale that these reports, these processes have taken. We are talking about 235 VLRs that have been published since 2016. These 235 VLRs have been published by over 180 local and regional governments all over the world from 47 countries. And this is really a numbers that keep increasing and that keep showing a wider geographical spectrum. So initially, most of these VLRs were published by, for example, big cities in such as New York, some cities also in Tokyo, in Japan, sorry, were the first ones that were launching VLRs. But with time, we have seen how many more cities from other regions, such as in Africa, in Latin America, in Europe, were also taking up and presenting these reports. If we look at the geographical distribution, we see that Europe and Latin America are on top of the number of VLRs published, but Asia Pacific is also coming quite strongly, with 50 VLRs being published as of today, and many more coming. Numbers, as I was saying, are quite promising, are very encouraging, but what is really a VLR? What are we talking about when and what are these dots that we are seeing on the screen? Voluntary local reviews originally were considered a process of reviewing the implementation of the 2030 agenda at the local level. And that is, let's say, the common understanding and the initial intention of these reports. There is no common template and there is no common structure or definition that says what these are or how these VLRs should be developed, which, as you can imagine, comes out of the logic that many local and regional governments with different capacities, different sizes, have developed them. So it's really a flexible process, and we want to keep it like that. The fact that they are voluntary represent the commitment and the leadership of local governments on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals, and in general on the achievement of sustainable and inclusive and prosperous cities. The fact that they are called local and the name comes from the concept of voluntary national reviews, which I am sure you are familiarized with them. They are the reports that national governments present to the UN at the high-level political forum, the event that I was mentioning before, in July, on a voluntary basis. Based on that experience, many cities, as I was mentioning, stood up and wanted to prove that they were also doing a lot in terms of sustainability, and that they could complement the efforts of their national counterparts. At the same time, voluntary local reviews have the potential to accelerate the localization of the SDGs from different or from the different domains and perspectives that the localization of the SDGs entails. And this is what we recently have framed as action-oriented voluntary local reviews. Let me explain you what this is about and how the VLR can accelerate the localization. First of all, through this process, we see that the data environments in the cities are improved, or at least it's difficult to improve because this is a long process, the one of the data. The awareness towards the need for data and the need to cover those data gaps is increased. So maybe in some cities we have seen that they have, for the first time, used their data to report on the progress of sustainability. They have really analyzed the existing data and transformed the numbers into stories and into a review. In other places, we have seen that the first VLR was quite poor in terms of data collection because it was non-existent, but in following VLRs, the situation of the data was completely improved. The second point is the boosting of participation and inclusion of communities in matters of sustainability. And here, when we talk about participation, we are regarding the participation of relevant stakeholders from the civil society, from the private sector, even from different departments of the city administration, and also the participation and inclusion of local communities. And the third point will be that by doing this SDG assessment, we can improve our planning because we are understanding where we stand with regards to the implementation of the different SDG targets and SDGs. And we see where we want to go and what are the existing gaps that are preventing us from advancing on sustainability. So all of these analysis should really, or at least it has the potential to inform and to improve the strategic planning of the city. And on this point, we will address this later, but it's very important that as much as possible, we align the VLR with existing local development plans, with existing strategic plans that cities might have. Because this should not be understood as something different, but more as a review of what the city is already doing. The third point, it has been mentioned already, is the one of multi-level governance. We have seen that by strengthening the collaboration in between local and national governments on SDG reporting, such as the one that we will do with this exercise, we are setting a precedent for a stronger collaboration on other domains, such as planning, such as data collection, such as census, and so on. And the fifth one will be the international positioning. As you can see, we're talking about 235 VLR published from 185 local and regional governments. There is truly a network and a community of practice of local governments working on sustainability. And we take this opportunity to connect the cities that are undertaking these processes, to get to know each other, to learn from their processes, and to advocate for their own role in global and UN-led events. So these are some of the benefits, and these are some of the ambitions that we hope you will be able to, of course, according to your context, but that you will be able to explore at least. Next slide, please. Thank you. So for this project in particular, we are suggesting a very specific methodology to be followed to develop the voluntary local reviews. As we were saying, each city and in each country, local governments have done their VLRs differently. This is an approach that is tested and that we think that can work for this specific context. And the methodological overview that we're talking about is based on 3 components. The first one is understanding what has worked for other VLRs in the region. So really learning from the best practices. Here on the screen, you can see some of the VLRs that have been published in Asia Pacific, but remember that 50 of the over 200 VLRs come from the region. So I encourage you to have a look at other VLRs to see the structure of the reports, the analysis that they did, and try to learn and to contextualize the points that you feel are relevant for your own city. The examples of Bhopal in India, Shah Alam in Malaysia, Nakhon Si, Samarat in Thailand, and Dhulikhel in Nepal are some of the ones that we wanted to highlight. But again, there are 50. There are many that you can look at. The second point is which will be the methodological bulk of your voluntary local reviews, is the regional VLR guidelines for Asia Pacific. These guidelines serve as a contextualized manual of how to develop voluntary local reviews for this region in particular. There are other regional guidelines for other regions, and we think that these ones are very accurate for the processes that you have already started. The guidelines, as we will see, propose a structure that we hope that you can follow, and proposes methodological timeline to develop the VLRs. And the third point will be the action-oriented approach of the VLR. The action-oriented approach is something that UN Habitat has developed based on the experience of supporting other VLRs and on the expertise that the agency has with planning and the connection in between the assessment and planning. This point of the action-oriented approach fits and strengthens the regional methodology for VLR. And all of this that you're seeing on the screen will be shared with you, so you can review it and you can extract the points that you deem interesting for your own processes. But now, if we go to the next slide, we will see, thank you, Hannah, a simplified overview of how the VLR process looks like. As we are saying, it is a process, and it is a process that for some cities it has lasted 4 months, while for other cities it has lasted almost a year or more than a year. So here, even for each of the pilot cities, we have seen that some of you are aiming to do the VLRs in X number of months, while others will do it in some more time. This is really up to you and up to the capacities and the time and ambition that you want to conduct. And again, there is no strict way of conducting this, and there is no strict timeline of conducting this. Just let me describe somehow what we have on the screen. The VLR process is formed by 4 phases: the planning and institutionalizing phase, which is the initiation, the inception into the VLR process; the gathering inputs and data phase, which is the one in which we collect all the existing information. Then it's the report writing phase, in which we transform all that data into the VLR, into the report. And the final one is the follow-up. There are 3 tracks that are present throughout the phases, or throughout some of the phases, let's see. The first one is the data track, which is a key component of the voluntary local review. The stakeholder engagement track, which is this point of including the communities, the participation, and making the process of the review going beyond a desk review and really like including qualitative data, perceptive data from stakeholders. And then the third track, which is the strategic action track, which is the one that brings our VLRs from a mere reporting exercise to an exercise of planning and of vision. So these are the tracks, and we will, in a minute, we will get into more the different steps to work on each of these phases in this track. But before, I wanted to share a few words on the cross-cutting elements that we found relevant for this exercise, because it's not only about developing or let's say writing a report, having a PDF on our folders or a report on our shelf, but it's more about the process. And we think that in this process, the multi-level collaboration can be improved in terms of data, in terms of statistics. You will see that for some cities and for some, to collect data for some indicators, you will have to go or consult the national statistics, for example, and it's the same the other way around. When member states will develop their voluntary national reviews, they might go back to the cities asking for that data that they collected for the voluntary local review. So really, this strengthening of collaboration, vertical collaboration is truly important. The capacity building and the advocacy and visibility are also 2 of the cross-cutting components that we want to strengthen throughout the VLR process. So going to the next slide. Don't get scared. I know that there is a lot of text, but you will have the slides and you can go through this text more in depth. What we can see here is a breakdown of each of the work steps for each of the phases. So really a guide on how to work for each of the phases when developing the VLR. Then we also have the deliverables for each of the phases. All of these deliverables, as you can imagine, will be feeding the VLR. So it's not that you will have a separate document, but it's just some of the parts that will be building your voluntary local review. And then we have also included the tools that we have developed to support you in conducting this process. So I promise I won't get into all the details, but I want to make it clear at least which are the key steps of each of these phases and which are the deliverables and tools. So in the planning and institutionalizing, which is somehow in the moment that some of you are, I would say that you're in between the end of planning and institutionalizing and beginning of gathering inputs and data. This is the moment to build institutional ownership and arrangement within the city, but also with establishing the connection perhaps with the national level. It's the moment to form the VLR task force, which will be the working group in between, in this specific case of the project, in between. Sorry, is there?
Yes.
I'm not sure if this was a mic. Okay. Colleagues, please unmute yourself if you're not talking. I was saying that the VLR task force should be comprised or formed by the teams in UN Habitat and of course the city authorities and some of their technical teams. Then in this phase, it's a good moment to link, to understand and take stock of existing policies, of existing plans, and see how this VLR can fit into what already exists. And the enabling environment would be the last step of this phase, which is exactly what we are doing now. It's understanding what are the materials available, what is a VLR, getting trainings, getting an understanding of the overall process. As part of the deliverables of this phase, we have some sort of formal commitments through letters of intent and so on, and the development of a work plan. Those work plans will be the ones that will be presented on this training on the third part. The second phase is let's say it's the most extensive one, is the moment of collecting the data, selecting indicators, first of all, collecting the data, conduct a stakeholder mapping and engagement strategy to see which are those stakeholders that might have data that will be interesting for the VLR, or stakeholders that could support on this process of strategy, planning, vision. As part of the data track, as we can see, we have the definition and alignment of indicators, a very important concept, the one of alignment that we will see today. The prioritization of the indicators, the identification of data sources, and then the data collection, the cleaning and analysis, the development of maps, of figures, graphs that can communicate better the data that has been collected, and then also some stakeholder consultations that can help us in collecting data on the one hand, but also in defining a vision, in defining a planning as part of the voluntary local reviews. The deliverables here, I want to make the distinction in between the deliverables as part of the data track and the deliverables as part of the stakeholder track. This has been done with color coding. And the ones that you see in blue are the data track, which will be a list of selected indicators, of prioritized indicators, and the data report. Again, this report should be the basis of the VLR. It shouldn't be considered something external. To support the data, we have created the UMF VLR data tool that we will present in a couple of minutes, and that will support in the definition and alignment of indicators, prioritization of indicators, and identification of data sources. On the other hand, as part of the stakeholder track, we will consider deliverables, the stakeholder engagement plan, the celebration of a stakeholder consultation forum with relevant stakeholders, and the report on the stakeholder engagement. So basically, including those recommendations and that the outcomes of the forum into our report. And as tools developed to support the stakeholder engagement track, we have the stakeholder mapping and survey templates for data collection and visioning that can be used for the consultation forum. Now, the last remaining phases are shorter. As I was saying, the gathering inputs and data phase is the longest one. The report writing is making sure that all of the data collected is comprehensively written as part of the VLR, and that there is a narrative, there is a flow that works. And this report writing also entails the development of a vision, the development of the recommendations, and that part of the action-oriented of our VLR. As deliverables, we are counting here the VLR drafts, a first draft, an advanced draft, and the final VLR, the one that will be published. And as part of this strategic action track, which is the one that will be in the phase, we would like to see in the VLR, we would like to help in developing action-oriented recommendations to advance on the SDGs based on the assessment. As a tool, we will provide you with the action-oriented recommendations tool that will help you in framing or phrasing those recommendations. And finally, the follow-up phase, which is the one of launching the VLR, disseminating and communicating the results of the voluntary local review, following up with the stakeholders that were consulted throughout the process, and then more as a long-term step. And as a continuation of the process will be the implementation of the priority actions that were identified in the VLR, the monitoring and evaluation of those actions, and hopefully, why not, a second VLR. So this is a bit the overview. Then, as we will see, for each of the countries, there is a specific implementation plan that has been developed, but this is, let's say, the general one. I'm going to stop here for a second and check if there is any question before getting into the data piece and the data deep dive. Perfect. Then Hannah, please, let's go to the next slide. So we are going to see now how are we going to work with local data, with indicators on our voluntary local review. I mentioned before the point of alignment, and I really want to stress it. The SDGs provide a framework of 17 objectives with 169 targets and 231 indicators to measure the progress on those targets. At the same time, at the national level, many states have developed their own frameworks for SDG implementation and have aligned those SDG targets with national plans. Something similar can happen at the local level, where there are already existing plans include targets of sustainability and have already identified indicators to assess the progress of those local plans. So the VLR, what does is providing a platform to align the existing levels of sustainability, of measuring sustainability. So aligning the indicators at the global level through the SDGs, through the Global Urban Monitoring Framework, with the ones existing at the national level that might be relevant and the ones existing at the local level. For that, we are proposing, if we go to the next slide, the Global Urban Monitoring Framework as the framework of indicators that will help you in selecting indicators for the VLR, and the UMF VLR data tool to help on and to facilitate the alignment. So as a quick introduction of what is the UMF is, or the bottom line is a list of indicators that are relevant for cities. The UN Statistical Commission, which by the way is the one that defined and designed the SDG indicators, realized that we were missing a global framework of indicators that could measure the urban components of the SDG, that are many, and the new urban agenda. So the UN Statistical Commission asked UN Habitat to conduct a review of existing frameworks that could be relevant for cities and for measuring the progress of urban development. The result of this consultation process was the development of the framework. In this framework, we see that approximately 60% of the indicators identified come from the SDG indicators. They come from mainly SDG 11, but also urban and land-related indicators as part of other SDGs. There are some UMF indicators that don't come from the 2030 agenda and the SDGs, and that they come from other frameworks that are more related to specific subjects, such as the ones that we can see on the table. For example, for health, WHO, World Health Organization, was consulted to share framework, to share indicators, sorry. And this is why we will see, and you all will see while working on the UMF DLR data tool, that you will see that some UMF indicators don't correspond or don't match with an SDG indicator, and that is totally fine. Let me give you an example. There is a UMF indicator called immunization rate, which doesn't have an SDG, a comparable or a similar SDG indicator that could be aligned with. At the same time, since it talks about immunization rate, it helps in measuring the progress of SDG 3, that is on health. So even though there is not an aligned SDG indicator, it means that this UMF indicator is relevant to assess the progress of SDG 3. And the last point about the UMF is that it provides an opportunity for benchmarking and for global comparison of cities, of how the cities are doing. The UMF should not be understood, and this is very important, as the sole monitoring framework, as the only monitoring framework, but it's rather the foundation, and it's rather the basis of indicators that can be complemented with other relevant or indicators of interest for the municipality. Next slide, please. Thank you. And this is how the UMF looks like. What we see on the screen is the UMF wheel diagram that comprises 77 indicators divided in 5 domains, which are economy, society, environment, governance, and implementation and culture domains, and 4 city objectives. The city objectives are safe and peaceful, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable. The city objectives are related to the SDG 11 targets, so the 4 first SDG 11 targets. So we can see really here the alignment in between the logic of the UMF and the SDGs. Now, I want you to remember the words of domains and city objectives, because they will come up again throughout the presentation. And what intersects in between a domain and a city objective is an indicator. For example, sustainable economy, which is an economy that can be sustainable, is measured through an indicator of subnational debt and an indicator on mean household income. So it is considered that if we are able to collect data to analyze the subnational debt, we will be able to monitor the progress of the sustainability of our economy. The same, for example, if we take culture and resilience, if we look at the indicators that appear on the top left of the diagram, we see that we can measure this resilient culture through the cultural employment and the expenditure on heritage. So it is really a system that summarizes different indicators that come from different sources and put them at the disposal of cities to work on them. If we go to the next slide. Thanks. The publication that we see on the left, or the image, is the Global Urban Monitoring Framework metadata. Is something that I would again encourage you to read, because there you can have a look and check the different indicators that are proposed, and an explanation on how to collect data for those specific indicators. So it's truly helpful when conducting the data process as part of the VLR. Next slide, please. And again, we will share this presentation and different materials with you, so you can access it later on. The UMF is broader than what we are presenting here, and it also has other benefits that are worth exploring. But what we will see today, and I am coming to the end of the presentation, is the alignment of the UMF process with the VLRs. As I was saying, when should you work on the UMF? On the phase of the data collection. We have chosen, or we suggest that cities work on the UMF because it proves to be beneficial for the data phase. And it's beneficial because the UMF provides indicators that are relevant for cities, because they are addressing the urban components of the SDGs. It is time saving, given that you don't have to go through different existing monitoring frameworks. You have everything you have all the existing indicators that are relevant for the SDGs and for the different domains of sustainability under the same document. It provides a methodological guidance, as I was saying, to collect the information to monitor that specific indicator. The other benefit would be that it offers a comprehensive approach for the voluntary local reviews to analyze the progress, not only against the SDG targets, but also against the UMF dimensions and city objectives. So it provides another additional lenses into your report. It provides a common language, as you know, the global common language, and a benchmark for global comparison. Next slide, Anna, please. Here we will briefly share with you 3 examples of how the UMF has been integrated in voluntary local reviews. The first one is the one of Madrid. In Madrid, they, as you can see on the table that is called Figure 22, they included different sources for the selection of their indicators that went from the global sources through the SDGs, the UMF, to regional indicator sources of the European Union, and to then national and local data sources. All of these sources were aligned, were compiled together to assess each of the SDG targets. And this is what we can see on the table 8 or 6, I don't see quite well, that for each of the SDG targets, they identified on the top right, which were the sources of indicators that analyze the progress against that target. And this is something that, again, it's quite beneficial to showcase this alignment that exists in between the global goals and the local realities and the local indicators. If we go to the next example, it's the one of La Paz in Bolivia. And this VLR focused more, let's say, that had a more UMF related approach in which they structure the VLR per each of the city domains, city objectives, sorry, and domains of the UMF, and related them to the SDGs. The VLR, as we can see on the part that analyzes SDG 1 on the bottom right, for the SDG review, which is the longest part of the voluntary local review, in which you analyze the progress of each of your SDGs, they included 2 tables. One that represented the SDG indicators and targets analyzed, and the UMF one. So it's like you can see that both of them were consulted, but there was missing a bit of an improved alignment in between these 2 frameworks, which is something that, based on the example of La Paz, we have learned, and we already improved in the next example, which is the one of Mwanza in Tanzania. Thank you, Hannah. That in the table that you can see in the center of the screen, for each of the SDG targets, there were different indicators identified, and these indicators, some of them came from the correlation of the SDGs with the UMF, such as the first one, that it's an indicator from SDG 3, but it's also one of the selected UMF indicators. At the same time, so this one, let's say it's an indicator that correlates in the SDGs and the UMF, but also it includes an indicator from the SDGs that doesn't have a UMF equivalent, let's say, and the other way around. It includes an indicator from the UMF that doesn't have an SDG equivalent. So that the specific targets can be measured through different indicators. And it is good that we are putting them all together rather than differentiating them, whether it's the UMF or it's the SDG or it's the local indicator. And also in the VLR of Mwanza, at the end of the document, it was included a full annex with the list of indicators that were considered for each of the SDG targets. What all of these 3 VLRs have in common, and this alignment in between the UMF and the SDGs have in common, is that they were done manually. The alignment in between different indicator sources was developed in a way that was not systematized. And in UN Habitat, we have been supporting the 3 examples that we have shared with you. And based on their feedback and based on their experience, we developed a tool to support on this alignment. So if we go to the next slide, we get an introduction of what this tool is about, and a tool that will be shared with all of you. The VLR should measure the progress against the SDGs, but at the same time, we should not forget the existing indicators that exist outside the SDG framework or the 2030 agenda. So by developing this UMF VLR data tool, we are facilitating the alignment in between the local, national, and global existing indicators. We are also helping the experts working on the data piece of the VLR in prioritizing indicators that might be relevant for the city and in identifying suitable data sources for each of the indicators. We are also working on following a structured approach, because it is the fact that now we have a tool and we have we have the tool that in one single, and you will see that the tool is an Excel at the moment. In one single Excel, you have access to all the existing indicators, all the existing at least global indicators that compile the UMS and the SDG indicators. So it is quite structured, and it avoids the mistakes, having mistakes basically. And finally, it integrates diagrams and visuals for gaps analysis that can be included also in your voluntary local review. So now, this has been the introduction to the tool. We are going to see through a presentation, through a video presentation, how the tool works. It is a video presentation that, again, it will be shared with you. So when you're working on your on the tool, you can use it and see it again. And then we will again open the floor for questions on the data component. So I think that is going to be Gaia, the one showing the video. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to talk you through our VLR data tool that we've developed to align UMF indicators or other more context-specific indicators with the SDGs to support the VLR process. Let me share my screen. So you see here our tool, which is essentially an Excel file, and you have a little induction page, and the main tabs then are one tab here, the national level plan, local level plan, and then you have a sheet per SDG. Right at the end, I'm not going to scroll all the way over now, but you'll see it very soon, is then also a sheet that shows all the indicators you have selected, and all the indicators you have selected, but you might still need to find some data for. So let's have a look. Throughout the document, there are little boxes that explain to you the step you're at, but I'll also talk you through it now. So initially, one of the first steps of this data VLR process will be to select the indicators you want to include in your VLR. And it can be really handy to review current national, local, or other strategic plans to inform that decision. So what we encourage you to do at these first 2 sheets is to go through plans and write down indicators that seem noteworthy, that seem like good measures to include in the VLR. There's some examples here. So you would be filling this out. So you might be looking, all right, you're going through this report, and maybe it's roughly on the topic area of, let's stick with income, and maybe there's an indicator of income at age 30. you then have here a drop down of all the SDGs, and you can select what this measure would be helpful for. I think I'm going to go for T. And what you get after that is another drop-down menu that now shows you all the SDG indicators that fall under SDG 1. So you see the list here. And then at the bottom, you also see the UMF indicators that fall under SDG 1. And then you have an option for SDG 1 other. So I doubt that there will be an income at age 30 indicator, but we can have a quick scroll. Nope. So we're gonna select for this one, SDG 1 other. We can use this to measure the SDG 1, no poverty, but it doesn't directly correspond with one of the existing. And like this, you just fill out the indicators that stick out for you. And yeah, we've split this up by national level plans. You could, for example, include things here like the Smart Sustainable City Framework or other more like, national level indicators that you come across. And then we have the exact same sheet, but for local level plans. So these might be plans a bit more specific to your municipality, but the same concept. Name of the plan, rough topic area, name of the indicator, what SDG does it fall into, and then does it relate to a specific indicator, or is it just like maybe SDG other? Well, based off this selection, your indicator will be sent to one of these SDG sheets. So if we have filled out SDG 1 here, they should all automatically appear on this sheet. So let's take a look. Again, there's some boxes here to guide you, but let's take that away for a second and have a look. What do we see here? The first two columns are the SDG target and the SDG indicators to measure that target for SDG 1 in this case. And you then have next to it 2 columns for the monitoring framework. And you will see that some of them are in the same row. Well, if they're in the same row, it means they're essentially measuring the same thing. So in this case, we have the SDG indicator 1.4.1, the proportion of the population living in households with access to basic services. And then next to it, UMF indicator 9, basic services. So these are aligned, and that is automatically done. You don't even need to do anything, and you will see this for all the different SDGs. All the sheets have the same structure. Here, that's quite interesting. There's a couple that aren't directly in line with an SDG, and that means that these UMF indicators are useful to measure the general SDG, but they don't correspond exactly to one of the indicators. Let's go back to SDG 1. Well, if you remember, we filled out one indicator from our national level plans that we called land rights indicator, and another one that was mean income and our income at age 30. And you see that, yes, they were automatically sent to this page, and they were aligned with the indicators that we sorted them into. And you can see that our little income age 30 indicators at the bottom here, because it can help us to measure SDG 1, but it doesn't correspond with any of the current SDG or UMF indicators in specific. And if we had filled out the local level plans, these would equally just appear in the same row. You can then see some other columns. You can decide, do you want to include this indicator in your review? You have drop-down menus to select yes or no from. And then you also can select whether the data is available. Yes, it's partly available. You might have to do some computations, or it's not yet available. And then you have the available to fill out a data source. For example, the scale might be local, the most recent data release, or maybe you have data from 2017 to 2022, something like this. and you would go through the different SDG files for the SDGs that you want to include in your VLR and do just that. Decide, do I want to include it? Do I have data? Where's the data? Well, let's make a little jump forward, because at the very end we have two new sheets. We have one called Selected Indicators, Data is Available. And you will see that all the indicators for which we ticked, yes, I want to include it, and yes, I have data, or I hardly have data, these will automatically appear here. And we have the SDG number, the indicator, and then if it was aligned with a UMF or other indicator, these would also appear here, and then the data source scale in here that we filled out. So ideally, I guess if you would have done more than the 3 that we just did, you have this really long list here. And as you fill them out, these 2 graphs will also update. These are spider diagrams. So the further out something is, the more indicators are included. So if we look at the covered SDGs, well, at the moment we can see it really much points towards SDG 1. Well, we've only included SDG 1 indicators here, so that makes absolute sense. But I guess in an ideal case, you would kind of want a balanced number of indicators for the SDGs that you want to include. And the UMF indicator one here looks a bit funny because we haven't included any UMF indicators. But if we did, you could also see the same kind of spiky shape indicating which domains we currently were covering the most. And you can also update this manually by going to data up here and refresh all. The very last one is then a similar sheet, but for indicators that you want to include, but that you might not have data yet. It would also have the SDG here, the indicator, etc. But at the end, it has a field for you to fill out a plan for how to access the data. So this might be stakeholder consultations, or maybe you want to search the internet, or you have a contact that might be able to help you getting access to this data, whatever it might be. But yeah, so what this tool does, it guides you through the review of existing plans. It aligns it automatically with the SDGs and the UMF. It helps you with the selection of indicators and finding the suitable data sources. And at the end creates 2 lists for you that show you exactly the indicators you can include for your analysis in the VLR. And through these diagrams, it's also quite easy to see or do some sort of gap analysis and see what's missing, and maybe see if you need to include something else in a certain bit, or balance it a bit more. And we think that they've got a lot easier, and we hope that you find it useful.
Thank you very much, Gaia, for showing the video. Caroline, unfortunately, was not able to join today, so that we have presented a video rather than having her. But she will be the one supporting all of you when there are questions using this tool, if any, together with Luisa that is joining today. So this has been the overview of the VLR process, the data track, and the specific tool. Again, all of this will be shared. So apologies for the small font size in the slides, but you will be able to read them properly on your screen. Now, before getting into the country implementation plan, I wanted to open the floor for questions or comments. Anything technical, anything that was not clear, or any thought on how this is going to be applied in the specific city?
Maybe Claudia can jump in quickly. So I think that for everyone, at least now in Thailand, with the team, we did a bit this research on different type of VLRs that are already being done. Yeah, and I'm now talking mainly to the colleagues in Nepal and in the Philippines, where also you have VLRs done, right? Every VLR looks a little bit different, right? Some aligns directly to a specific SDGs in the main body of the VLR. Some aligns to city objective or existing framework, right? So as Claudia said, there is not a specific template, and I think this is up to you to define it during your work. The urban monitoring framework, which is something new, right? In relation to the VLR, is simply a set of indicators that combine SDGs indicator and other framework, right? So that's where it is important. It's important to look at it since the beginning, really, because if you use it to define the indicator that you will measure, it will be really useful. And also the tools that the team prepared makes it automatic to align all the indicators that you have of the UMF, of national plans or local plans, whatever you're using, and then conduct everything back to the SDGs, right? The importance of the SDGs doesn't have to be forgotten because of this complex tool that the UMF is. I mean, for me, it's been a few months that I'm involved in this, so it is quite complicated for everyone that is new, but in reality, then it can be understood as a much more practical step. An example of Thailand, and maybe Jutamasa would invite you to just jump in quickly. So in Thailand, one VLR was already done in Nakhon Tamarat, when Jutamasa worked on that. And in that case, the indicators and that were looked at were directly the SDGs indicator, right? Complementing with what the city might have had, etc. In the case of Thailand, the UMF is also looked at by the national agencies that are responsible for the SDGs, because the goals that are outlined in the UMF aligns well with the goals of the UMF. So we will see together with the cities if they want to adopt more this perspective that aligns with their own government, let's say, frameworks, or if they want to continue with the simple SDGs focus, right? But I think I just want to make this statement a bit for everyone to understand that the UMF is just a tool that plugs into the VLR, but the VLR still focus on the SDGs, right? And the other point that is really important is that the SDGs remain the center, but that local and national strategies or frameworks or monitoring frameworks are also important. Yeah, so they should align. And I think that the UMF tool does well this to give the opportunity of considering existing indicator that the city already considered. Yeah. So this is just a small summary, right? I don't know if you, Jutamas, wants to jump in. I don't know from your experience or if you have any question. I think it takes a bit of time for everyone. It will take to absorb the methodology, but I think is a good start. Yeah.
Yeah. So for in Nakhon Tamarat VLR, we kind of focus on the local indicator first, and then see whether it's aligned with any indicator in the 70 goals. Yeah, so but most of the indicators were from local specific indicator. Yeah. And from this UMF, I think we will also have to align with the national indicator as well, right? It's like global, national, and then local from the Excel sheet. Yeah.
It is an option. Yeah. So as you did in Nakhon Tamarat, I think the correct approach, right, is to build on what the city already does in their normal work and the normal processes. In the case, for example, talking about Thailand, if these indicators align with the indicator that NSDC, so the national agency, uses, this will make more useful the VLR, both for the city, but also for the national government, right? So it's an opportunity. But as Claudia said, and as was mentioned in the video, the toolkit, the tool of the UMF provides you the possibility of aligning the indicators of the UMF with local or national. You can choose what to input inside the tool. Yeah. So I think this needs to be driven a lot by the government and what they want to achieve. If we manage to make it useful at the multi-level, not only at the city level, I think it is an opportunity. Yeah.
Totally. Thank you, Ricardo and you, Tomas, for this. And just to highlight that this has been, this alignment that Ricardo was mentioning and the one of the experience of Thailand has been done in many DLRs. Regardless of the UMF, the alignment of the SDGs with national plans, with local plans. What is new now with what we are aiming to facilitate is the process of aligning. It's a process that instead of doing it manually, we can do it with the tool to save time, basically, and to use that time for an exercise of prioritization and identification of data sources. So thank you very much for sharing the experience of Thailand. I'm sure that it is helpful for the rest. Chris, I see that you have the hand raised.
Yes, thank you. I agree with Ricardo that, yeah, the VNR is really focused on the SDGs. In the Philippines, we have an additional element, and that is that the country is preparing the NUA report. So that's why for the NUA reporting, the UMF is very useful because it is focused on urban indicators. And we are now at the process of actually reconciling UMF with the SDG indicators because we are reconciling the NUA report also with SDG reporting through the VNR. So that's the point that we are in now, and that's why, yeah, although I can see that the tool is very helpful in terms of looking at that alignment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I'm just checking that I understood right. Did you say the NUA, like New Urban Agenda report, or I got it wrong?
Sorry, again.
Were you referring to the NUA, like New Urban Agenda report?
Yes.
Okay.
The Philippines is preparing the New Urban Agenda report, and for that report,
Fantastic.
the UMF is very relevant.
And the third point that we would like to make on this tool will be the alignment also with the New Urban Agenda indicators, like really having all the possible frameworks that are relevant for the specific exercise mapped and aligned. So good to know, and happy to explore how we could add that component of the NUA if it's relevant for that report. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to share any comment or thoughts? Okay, I don't see any hands. Again, you can use the chat for questions, and then to move to the third and last part of the training, I will give the floor to the colleagues from Nepal, which will be the ones presenting the country implementation plan. We will see first Nepal, then Thailand, and then the Philippines. I think it's going to be Dr. Pratap Satkoli who will present.
Thank you, Claudia.
Shall we share the screen from our end?
Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you share my slide? Just.
Yes, Hannah can share them again.
Please. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you so much for giving the time, because we we hear several experience of the BLR from different parts of the world. And in Nepal, I think Dhuli Hill is close capital city. It has already prepared the BLR report. And I think the Chandragiri is the second one under the support from the UN Habitat, and some of the local government in Nepal prepare by themselves the BLR by themselves, and maybe the Chandragiri maybe the new one for the in the global in global area. So please move to second. Next slide, please. Okay, just for this presentation, we have just present the overview of this implementation process. Introduction of the Chandragiri Municipality, I will just introduce, and stakeholder involvement in BLR, and methodology for BLR report preparation, and indicative work plan, and proposed table of content. I will just share for your feedback in the future. Next slide, please. Okay, SDG implementation process. As Claudia already present, because it has a series of process, and yeah, for Nepal also they committed to SDG national target setting, and based on the national target, several types of plan like sectoral plan, annual plan, periodic plan align with the SDG targets. And the mostly in Nepal, the National Planning Commission is leading for the SDG implementation, and the sectoral ministry and provincial and local government, as well as the civic society, NGOs, is supporting to achieve the SDG target as well. So in terms of the local government, we have two layers of local government, especially in ward and municipality level. So the SDG local level, we will conduct the different process, I think, to collect the data with the local different layers of the local government, like wards, government, stakeholders, different civic society. And for this process, we will focus mainly 5 target, and quantitatively we will focus 5 target, and qualitatively we will go through the all the target, all the SDG goal. Next slide, please. Okay, the Chandragiri municipality is one of the city within this valley. Kathmandu Valley is the close to Kathmandu capital city, and the area of the city is 43.92 square kilometer, and 15 wards is divided, and the 35,000 and about 36,000 household is there, and 136,000 people is residing, and the literacy rate is 87.27%, and average family size is 3.8 in Chandragiri municipality. Next slide, please. Okay, mostly the in the BLR process, our stakeholder would be basically the mayor and deputy mayor, as well as the local government elected the officials, and sectoral committees we have in municipality, who is leading by the ward chair. Basically, we have here 5 sectoral committee, and all sections, subsections of municipality, ward chairperson and members, school teachers, school management committee, health institution, local club, women's group, female community health volunteers, municipal security agency, Federation of Commerce and Industry. Will basically our stakeholder would be like this for VLR during the VLR process. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, for methodology, we use basically first we understand the context of VLR, and we have already started the next review by before the Claudia also present the different manuals and the reports, and then after we have already finished the inception workshop, followed by inception report is almost in submission process stage. And next we will conduct the stakeholder consultation and national SDG indicators, data collection in local level. Then after key information interview or focus group discussion and individual consultation will be conduct, and based on that we'll gather the several information and select the disaggregate the information and align in the GIS mapping. And based on this, the indicator, the SDG goals, some of the qualitative analysis, and somewhere in the quantitative analysis, as already as I said before. And then after we'll prepare the draft report and circulation of a report to stakeholders in national level and local level, and collect feedback, comments from the different level, and finalize the report. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, based for the just for sample, we will use this type of Excel analysis process. So we have here indicators, and we have the target as SDG mentioned, the target and goal for different SDG. And so far we'll put here the achievements, and based on this we'll finalize when we use this type of format for all SDG goal. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, just this is the indicative work plan we have. I am sharing with you, and in inception phase, up to the submission of inception report, we have completed some of the event like inception workshop, consultation with Chandragiri municipality officials, and regarding the collection of information we need. And in operation phase, we will do again the collection and gathering the information, focusing to SDG, and conduct FGD or consultation with the different stakeholders at ward level. Then after stakeholder at thematic level, as I mentioned, there are basically 5 thematic groups in local government. And this thematic group I have aligned with the section chief of the local government. Then after we will verify all the data and information collected from the different layers and the stakeholder level. Finally, we have during the finalization process phase, we'll compile and the compilation of field consultation meeting and their outputs, and later briefing to the data and the information with UN Habitat as well as the local government for the validation of the data and information. And later on we will prepare the draft report, and subsequently we will collect feedback, comments from different level, and finalize the report. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, for the this is just for propose the table of content of VLR. I think I'm not sure. It might be some changes later on, but just I share it. But I don't want to present in detail here. So just for your information, we will put here that's in the introduction part. Before acknowledge executive summary, background and rationale for the BLR report, preparation, review of SDG progress in Nepal, stakeholders involved in BLR process, scope of BLR report preparation. In the methodology part, we'll cover the review of literature, key improvements in review, focus group discussion, consultation, observation, decision initiatives by Chandragiri municipality. And in third chapter, existing situations of Chandragiri, we'll put here the governance and service delivery system, health infrastructure, education infrastructure and services, economic development and employment, environment and climate change, women, children and social welfare services, disaster risk reduction initiative, dedicated division section for public service delivery, enabling environment for SDG achievement. And then after we will in chapter 4 we will elaborate each and every SDG goal and put a recommendation as well as other information so far achieved, focusing to the Chandragiri municipality. So finally, chapter 5, finding, conclusion, and recommendation will be put there. So this is just for your. I don't think this is final one, but later on we will revise. We'll revise just for your feedback in this report. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so far we have some progress here. So the committee, we have already got the information from the municipality that the advisory steering committee is already formed on the leaders on the coordinator coordinationship of the mayor and the deputy mayor as well, and spokesperson is there and chief administrative officer is there, and our focal person Bhadra Arial, senior officer, disaster and environment section is there, and account officer is there. So with these 6 person, there is the advisory and steering committee. Likewise, the working committee is there. The working committee is basically representing from the thematic section of the municipality. So basically the education department, social department, infrastructure department, health department, planning department, information communication technology department, and head of water supply department. So these 7 department chief is representing for the working committee. And for technical committee, we are from the UN Habitat team with consultant and lead by Pragya Madam, Pragya Pradhan and Milan Bagali, and consultant team, myself and Srijana Koirala, Atul Joshi, and as well as other technical person from the UN Habitat. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the, okay, thank you. Just for, I think the time also is going, move on. So please, if anybody have any question, I will try to answer your question. Please. Thank you so much for your listening.
Thank you very much, Paswal, for the presentation. I think it's very clear, and it seems that you're well advanced on the structure of the work, and also on the identification of the targets of the plan, which were some of the concepts that we were using today. So congratulations for that and for the fruitful inception meeting that you had this week. I just wanted to ask a quick one before moving to the Philippines presentation, which is if you could share how or which strategy have you followed to define the SDGs and the targets that you want to analyze, and if the municipality has been involved on that process.
Okay. I think the municipality, sorry, this is not question for me. Is this question for me or?
Yes, it's, I mean, for you or for anyone. That...
Question for me?
Yes.
Yeah, as I just, we have just started with the municipality. So last week we have the meeting and we consulted twice with the municipality, and I think municipality is interested to conduct this type of voluntary review, but what I get information from the municipality is that there is some information lagging, where we have to move to the field by ourselves, and they have some they have not a long-term strategic plan, and they have only the annual plan so far. I think this is the the very initial phase. So yeah, that's
Perfect.
all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and congratulations for the process. Considering the time, shall we move directly first to the Philippines, as our colleagues will have to leave, and then we close with the Thailand country implementation?
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, colleagues, for considering that we will present next because I have to go to another meeting. But anyway, for the Philippines, we already did the inception. The project team are those that attended this VLR training session, and then from the initial selected city of Malaybalay, we now are finalizing our municipality to Surigao City in the Caraga region in the Philippines. This is because we have actually received the expression of interest of the city to conduct their VLR already. Next, please. So for our work plan, as I said, we received the expression of interest from Surigao City in September, and we have started the hiring of consultants in August. And this is because we are actually hiring current consultants and building up on what they're actually doing and working on the VLR as an integrated part of the work that they're currently doing in the country program. And we will start with the VLR process map and work plan next month in October. For the data track, we have started initial data gathering in August when we did a workshop in Surigao City. And by November, we will look at the alignment of these indicators with the SDG indicators with the existing city plans and data. And we will do the prioritization by December and January, and data collection will be in February to April. Next, please. For the stakeholder engagement track, actually in October, this next week, we will be conducting the Philippine Urban Forum, and we will be launching the SDG Cities program here during the Urban Forum. And we will also have a plenary session on VLRs and the SDG reporting. So this is a big, very significant urban forum where we will be presenting partly this SDG localization project. And a series of stakeholder consultations will proceed during the whole project duration up to next year, and the project prep, as well as the project and policy development process. No, for the VLR presentation preparation, this will start around March, in time also with the preparation of the city's comprehensive development plan and the budgetary process. The VLR launch, this will be launched in July, in time also for the state of the city's report by the city mayor, and we envision the state of the city's report that will be done by the mayor during the every year, to be anchored on the VLR. And then the review process and learning after that. And during the whole process also, we will align vertically the VLR with the other reports and plans at the regional and at the national level. So we plan to also align the VLR together with the other reporting, and also considering that the country will be preparing also its national urban agenda report. So I think that that basically summarizes what we plan to do for this project in the Philippines. I think there's no more slide after that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris, for this presentation. Couple of dates as well to mark on our agendas, and good to know that there is an alignment, a vertical alignment with other reports, and that the findings of the VLR can be used by the mayor for the status of the city's report. Thank you very much for this.
Yes, thank you. If you have questions, yeah, you can ask them now, or we can also do that online.
All is clear from my end, but if anyone wants to ask. Okay. Then shall we move to the...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shall we move to the presentation of Thailand, Ricardo?
Yes. So yeah, for Thailand, we kept it quite simple. We didn't share all the details that we have already, but it's mainly about the work plan. So in Thailand, we set up a little bit a team with, of course, Kunjuta Mas, that was the focal point to develop the first VLR in Thailand with Makonsi Tamarat. And then, of course, we have our Thailand office, especially Panisa, that could not be here to handle this project. We already did a kickoff with the city and start mapping of stakeholders and also data available. And also in Thailand, as I was saying before, the UMF indicator have been translated into Thai. This was done directly by this national agency that is responsible for many things, including the SDGs, that is called an SDC. And so in all this preparatory process, we are, let's say, really trying to link the local level work that we will be doing with also some national discourse and process. This is not automatic, and we are not sure yet where it will lead, but it's something that we are looking into also to support the future VLR in the countries and making sure that there is this vertical alignments. And also we engage, and Panisa participate in some events in the same province of the city we are working with UNDP, that is leading a project on SDG localization with different methodologies, but we are inviting them and aligning on the work, and we are ensuring that the province is also part of the work that we do in the city at the city level, so that everything is quite connected. We had our kickoff meetings already, and this is leading to the first real, let's say, moment of work that will be with the city, that will be on the 16th, 17th of October. We call it a training workshop, building a little bit on the structure that was adopted for Nakhon Si Thammarat before, so we give a bit continuity on the approach, and where we will share trainings on the SDGs, on the VLR in general, on the UMF as well, and we expect quite a broad participation from municipality, also these national agencies, and then a province, academia, etc. So this has already been done. We started to look at the local level indicators, but this is something that the city needs really to support us. So we are looking to work with them on. And you can go to the next slide. And then we look basically to build really the project timeline with them, right? So right now here in this table, we left 2024, but we don't know exactly yet where we will end because it's important the city owns the process as well, right? And from mid-October with this workshop, we aim to start having a clearer idea on the SDGs that they want to prioritize, to really get to know the local development plan that was developed last year for Dontani, right? So we really have to connect the VLR process with the local plans and the projects that they have ongoing and planned. And then, of course, into next year, we plan to have, when we have a much stronger base of data, a stakeholder forum again with a broader group of stakeholders to also connect more to groups that are not part of the government directly or academia, but represent also more representative of the society that could fill also some gaps in terms of data. I think for Thailand is quite essential to start working, as also Chris mentioned, since the beginning on the alignment between the VLR process and findings with the local plan, and possibly also going into the discussion of the budget, the annual budget allocation. We will see how the city wants to link these aspects. But it's something that we will start since the first steps, and that we hope also to have, let's say, a bit of guidance from the province itself, right? So to link the work that the province is doing with UNDP and the provincial plan and see how this can link. In Thailand, there is the opportunity of working this multi-level manner. Will not be easy, but we will try. And then I don't know if there is a next step, but a next slide. Yeah, so the part on the strategy, right, on the vision, the strategic approach might result in different way. Again, is a co-developed with the municipality, so we don't know yet exactly how it will looks like, but ideally we'll link the SDGs, especially the one more in needs, with projects that the city already have planned to showcase how this align and also to help the city prioritizing. In terms of alignment to the voluntary national review, Thailand did the last one in 2021, so it's not clear yet when they plan the next one. So we will start drawing some linkages, but probably there will not be an immediate connection. But yes, toward the end, in terms of follow-up, again, we will building on the process involving national and local partners. We will try to see how the national agencies can guide and endorse a little bit the work done at the local level to create a pathways for other Thai cities to follow. So this is a little bit of a summary. We have this workshop indeed on October. That will be the first big moment of work. I'm not sure, Jutamas, if you want to add anything or any, let's say, success factor or challenge that you foresee, considering your previous experience in this process.
So yeah, for my past experience with NST VLR, the training and to having everyone in the same page is very important, and to have the city make decision of the prioritizing SDG by themselves is also very crucial, because they will have sense of belonging of the report, and we will trying to build up a team, like a working group within the municipality, and then we work alongside with them. Yeah, so that will be more sustainable in the long run, because this will not be just a report, finishing, writing, submitting, and then no one will read it. They will not follow the recommendation. So I think that building the team is very important for your.
Yeah. So thank you, Thomas. I think that from our side is a little bit this. We will share, of course, the report from the meetings, as well all the information about the participants for your HQ reporting. And then I think from our side, it could be also interesting, to see how the Philippines works on the alignment with an urban agenda. Maybe it could be an interesting input also for Thailand. There is not the same structure in reporting on the urban agenda nationally, so it's going to be different. And of course, also in Nepal, also there, right, there is already an existing VLR, so I think it's good to build on the experience of everyone, especially in the part that is a bit more complicated, right? So the visioning exercise and how to link the VLR with the action-oriented part, right? With the projects and the plans. Yeah, so from us, that's all. Thanks. Over to you, Claudia.
Thank you very much, Ricardo and you, Thomas, for the overview of the plan in Thailand. Again, I think that the in terms of operationally, it's good that you have dropped something, but that then you will further discuss with the city. I think, Ricardo, you mentioned something very important, which is the ownership that the city should take in this process. I think that the training we have been discussing about it will be a great opportunity to raise awareness on the SDGs, to train, to strengthen the capacities over there. So really showing that yes, there is a report that will be developed, but there is much more much more processes that can be benefited from the DLR. That being said, I think that we have seen 3 different contexts, 3 different plans and strategies that differ from each other, but at the same time share many things in common. And we hope to, with the support, of course, of GrowUp, of our country offices, we hope to keep these channels of communication, because what might work in one city could work in the other, and what some of the lessons learned from one could also be lessons learned for the rest of the cities. So really, we advocate for this collaborative approach and sharing of peer learning, peer exchanges, and look forward to working with all of you and continuing these efforts, not only on the framework of the project, but also for the future. I will ask again if there is any question or comment that anyone would like to share. We've gone a bit over time, but hopefully all of the information that we have shared today is helpful for you, and we try to be as much detailed as possible. Okay, I don't see any questions. We will share all the information so you can have it, and please feel free to reach out if there is any question on the data tool, or if there is any question on the methodology, so we can help you with that. Thank you very much for participating and for supporting in the coordination of this training.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.